Welcome to Leadership Rediscovered. I'm your host, Laura Siebold. This episode is going to be a little different. I've been fortunate over the past 20 years to become certified in various tools, and from time to time, I'm going to come onto the podcast and share some information that I believe might be helpful in supporting leaders on their leadership journey. Today, I want to talk about strengths and the importance of knowing, understanding, and leveraging your strengths. I'm a certified CliftonStrengths coach, and some of you may know the CliftonStrengths assessment by its former name, StrengthsFinder. The CliftonStrengths assessment comes from Gallup, which is a global analytics and advice firm. Gallup has been collecting data for over 80 years, and their specialty is in building exceptional workplaces. They are masters of employee engagement, culture, and what it means to be a high performer. The CliftonStrengths assessment was created by Dr. Don Clifton. And after he returned from a distinguished career in World War II, flying B-24s, he felt he had seen enough of war and wanted to spend the rest of his life doing something good for humankind. Don had an intense interest in human development and was struck by the fact that all of the psychology books at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln were all focused on what was wrong with people. He couldn't find a single book on what might be right with people. Just think about that for a moment. Isn't that so true? We tend to focus so much time and energy on what's wrong with us and others. How much time do you spend thinking about what's going well, what you like about yourself and others, versus the opposite? I know I have some improvement to do in that area. At any rate, like how many great ideas are formed, Don Clifton took it upon himself to change this approach, and he spent the rest of his life researching and inventing ways to help people maximize their infinite potential. I just love the sound of that. His work led him to invent the CliftonStrengths assessments, which has been taken by over 24 million people to discover their natural talents, which is what they do best. The CliftonStrengths assessment measures your talents, which are essentially your natural patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving, and then categorizes them into the 34 CliftonStrengths themes. You get a report that shows you a numbered and ordered listing of your talent themes, broken out into 4 domains: executing, influencing, relationship building, and strategic thinking. And then you get a customized and personalized summary of how your talent themes show up, how you can maximize them, and blind spots to look out for if you overuse them. When you invest time practicing, developing your skills, and building your knowledge base, you can turn your top talent into a strength, which is defined as the ability to consistently provide near perfect performance. I feel like many of us are struggling and striving for near perfect performance. All right, so that's what the CliftonStrengths assessment is, but let's talk about why this information matters and why I'm so passionate about it. First of all, this is a great assessment for self-awareness, and I think it's a good reminder that we all have talent. Sometimes we forget that. So at a minimum, it's good to have a better understanding of your talents, and that's important from an emotional intelligence and performance perspective. But there's so much more. Think about how much time, energy, and probably money we spend trying to fix what's broken or wrong with us. There are entire multi-million-dollar industries based off of trying to help you fix what you think is broken about you or what someone else tells you is broken about you. And I'm not throwing shade there, but let me pose a question to you. What do you think you'll have greater success in? Investing time and energy into things you're naturally good at or things you're terrible at? Think about that for a minute. I was not born with a mathematician's brain. I can do the level of math that's required of me to survive in the business world, but let's say I decided I wanted to become a mathematician. I could stop everything I'm doing right now. I could quit this podcast and devote all of my waking hours to enhancing my quantitative skills. I could hire some kind of tutor, take classes, the list goes on. And all of that investment would likely get me to the point of being a marginal or average mathematician at best. And we haven't even discussed the fact that I don't really have a desire or interest to become a mathematician because I like people. I love human behavior. I love working with people, talking to people, and helping people. And hopefully, without sounding egocentric, I have some natural strengths as it relates to dealing with people. So, given that time is a finite resource, what's a better investment of my time? trying to get better at something I'm already naturally good at and like to do, or focusing on something I'm terrible at and don't like to do? I know many of you are going, duh, Laura, that's an easy answer. But I will ask you, how much time and energy are you spending on improving yourself in an area that you have no interest or skill, but someone either told you or made you feel like you need to improve in that area? And let me be very clear, quick disclaimer, CliftonStrengths does not say to just ignore or not to do things that we're not naturally talented in. Put enough effort into those things to manage them and prevent them from becoming career limiting for you. But where and when you have control over what you're focusing on, you're going to have much greater success investing in your talents. That's where the infinite potential lies. We spend about a third of our lives working, and according to the mattress companies, a third of our lives sleeping. I don't know about you, but I want to spend that 1/3 of my life working to be enjoyable, because that's a lot of time. And there's a direct correlation between the amount of time you're able to use your talents and the level of engagement you'll have at work. Gallup's data show that people who have the opportunity to use their Clifton strengths, which I would say is about 60% or more of the time that they're working, those individuals are 6 times as likely to be engaged in their jobs and 6 times as likely to strongly agree that they have the chance to do what they do best every day. In addition, they are 3 times as likely to report having an excellent quality of life, all of life, not just work life. People are more confident, more likely to achieve their goals. They're more likely to have ample energy, feel well rested, be happier, smiling, learning a lot, laughing, and being treated with respect. And they're less likely to report experiencing worry, stress, anger, sadness, or physical pain. Sign me up. For all of you leaders, there's a tremendous application for CliftonStrengths. If you can learn and use this model and start leveraging your team in a way that plays to each of their individual strengths, then we've just gone from infinite individual potential to infinite team potential. And I know I made it clear earlier that I'm not a mathematician, but think about the exponential impact of that. When I had one-on-one meetings with my team, I always had their Clifton Strengths report in front of me so I could be reminded of how to best leverage their natural talents. I would use it in feedback conversations, during goal setting, and in career planning. It was also so helpful for me to better understand them as individuals. It helped me understand and identify what was motivating to them and how I could capture that as well. And it provided a common language for us to have meaningful conversations. If they weren't really loving the work they were doing, we could have an open conversation about why that might be. If they were having a challenge getting along with others, we could talk about that too from a strengths-based perspective. There's even a manager-specific report that outlines how you show up as a leader based on your talent themes. My definition of leadership is very simple. To me, it's about enabling the success of others. Being in touch with your team's talents, investing in them so they can turn those talents into strengths, and knowing how to best leverage your team for maximum success creates success for the individuals on the team as a whole, and you as the leader. That's my review of one of a few tools I use to support leaders, and I have used as a leader myself. Now, I'd like to challenge each of you to a few things. Number 1, get in touch with your talents. If you don't know what they are, take an assessment like the Clifton Strengths, or you can ask others close to you, what do you see as my talents? What am I good at? What comes natural to me? Number 2, take some time to reflect on your talents. How often do you get to use them in your day-to-day life, especially at work? And what's your level of engagement in your job right now? Lastly, think about what talents you need to invest in to turn them into strengths. I think about successful athletes here. They were born with natural talent, but that doesn't mean they just roll out of bed and go into the game. Nope. They spend hours and hours practicing, learning, growing, and getting better in those things in which they're naturally talented. So think about yourself as a corporate athlete, perhaps. What talents do you need to invest in so you can flip them into strengths? How can you tap into that infinite potential? I'm passionate about this because life is so short and so precious, and we've each been given unique talents. Please do everything you can to use those talents and maximize them to their fullest potential. This is what it means to shine.